What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is your review for the T.S. Madison Experience, Season 1, Episode 5. So, in this episode, we get a lot of insight on what goes on within a family when someone in that family is trans, and how the family has to adjust, and what it looks like, right? So, beginning of the episode, we see TS going to lunch with a friend of hers named Hope, who is an advocate for trans. She's a trans woman, and she's also an advocate for trans rights. And Madison is talking to her about the struggles that she's had with her dad. She said, "I'm going to Florida. I'm going to Miami, and I want to see my dad while I'm there. And I really need to have a conversation with him because." We don't really have much of a relationship, but the relationship that we do have consists of my dad not respecting who I am. And Hope says, listen, here's what you have to do. You have to set those boundaries. And if the people in your life, family or not, don't respect them, then you have to put them in that place. That doesn't mean they can't have access to you. Because her dad and a lot of her family still calls her by they call it a dead name in the trans community. And I'm just going to say this for the purposes of the review. Her birth name is Tim. And her father and some of her family, she said they still call her by her dead name. I'm not going to say it again. By her dead name. And she called her dad while they were sitting there, and Hope said, listen, if your father can call you and ask for money for a new truck and ask for things from you, which I thought was interesting, that you don't have much of a relationship with him, but he can call you and ask you for stuff, but that ain't my business. I'm gonna leave that right there. I feel like then yes, he absolutely can respect and call. I mean, if you're gonna ask somebody for money, you could at least call them by their real name. Like, how am I gonna call somebody, ask somebody for money, and I ain't even gonna call them by their real name? Like, where they do that at? So, she said, when I get to Miami, that's gonna be a conversation that I'm gonna have with my dad, and I'm gonna tell him that these are the boundaries and that he's gotta respect the boundaries. They are getting on this RV and riding to Miami, honey, because if you don't know this about TS don't fly. I mean, TS don't fly. If there is any way, shape, or form that she can avoid a plane and she can convince other people to take that road trip with her, that is what she is going to do. I have seen TS take road trips. Listen, she don't play. She don't do no planes if she don't have to. Okay. And I'm sure she wasn't going to do no planes during COVID. So they got on the RV and the whole crew was there. Oliver, Chi-Chi, and Craig, honey. Because Craig say, listen, I don't normally do these road trips. I usually get on the plane and meet y'all there. Miss Mary is with them as well. Because, I mean, obviously, Miss Mary, they're going to her house in Miami. So, Miss Craig gonna tell Miss Mary, listen, we're not doing praise and worship all the way to Miami and back, okay? You're gonna get you one good prayer going down, and we can get you one good prayer coming back up. We're not doing this all the way down there, Miss Mary. Listen, quiet as is kept, I'm with Craig on that one, okay? I'm sorry, I'm with Craig on that one, okay? We're not doing praise and worship. Because I did not realize how long of a trip that was. Like, from Atlanta to Miami, it should not have taken them as long as it took them to get to Miami. They said 12 hours. Now, I've driven from DC to Miami, and I've done it more than once. Ain't nowhere in the world it's 12 hours from Atlanta to Miami. It can't be. Is it? Anyway, moving on. So, on the way down there, Maddie said, listen, since I have all of y'all here, I have an idea for some new content. I had some meetings. One of them was with Marquis Castello, and she said, listen, basically what you need to do if you're trying to shop to networks, you already have to have the content ready, and you got to keep it as simple as possible. KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? And it has to be as streamlined as possible. Now, and Craig was like, wow, I didn't know we were here. Like, I didn't know that Maddie was at this point where she was ready to start pitching to, networks. And so Maddie pulls out this whiteboard, honey, and she said, let's go. Let's figure it out. And what she wants to do is streamline all of her content into a variety show. So that you're going to get a little bit of this, you're going to get a little bit of Maddie in the morning, you're going to get a little bit of the Queen Supreme Court, you're going to get a little bit of Behind the Bench, you're going to get a little bit of everything in one show. And all of us said, oh, I see what she did. She trapped us on this bus for 12 hours so that we could come up with all this new content, because we can't go nowhere, we can't run, we can't be mad, And she got Chef Holly driving the RV. Now, Chef Holly done told him she ain't never drove an RV before. Lord, that's what took them so long, because Chef Holly was doing 35 and a 70 mile per hour. Listen, they wasn't never going to get there. At one point, Maddie had to take over the damn driving of the bus, because she said it was going to take them forever to get there. Child, it was going to take them forever to get there. But they were able to get some stuff done. They were able to put together a lot of good content on this whiteboard for what she's going to do when she gets back. Now, while they're on their way to Miami, her basement is being done. Remember, she's setting up a full studio in her basement. And so Legra stayed in Atlanta to oversee and make sure that, people were staying on task so that the basement will be ready, hopefully by the time they got back, or at least close enough to being ready. And it looks like it's going to be really, really nice. It's going to have a green room, and they're going to have, a studio and a staging area, and it looks really, really, really nice. It looks really, really nice. Now, also while Maddie is out of town, Tiffany ends up calling Legra, because Maddie is still trying to get Tiffany to be a part of this show, right? She's by hook or by crook, she's trying to get Tiffany to be a part of this show. And she ends up calling Legra and saying, listen, I want to come, and maybe I can come and surprise Maddie when the new studio is open, because I know she really wants me for the show, and I'm going to try to make it happen. Now, Legra's thing is like, listen, all that sound good, but let's be clear. Tiffany has stood us up before, so I like the idea. I want her to come, but I ain't holding my breath, and if she come, it'll be a great surprise, and if she don't, won't nobody be disappointed, because ain't nobody know she was supposed to come. They're my kind of surprises, okay? Now, they finally, listen, 560 years later, honey, they finally get to Miami, and they get to Miss Mary's house. Now, you walk up in Miss Mary's house, honey, and there are pictures listen, it looked like every other grandma house, okay? It's pictures all over the walls, and you see the pre-T.S. Madison, right? And I thought it was interesting that they showed us that. But again, it shows that transparency. And she said, listen, my mother has come a long way, and she accepts me as I am now, but those are her pictures, those are her memories, that's what she's holding on to. She said, I just got to get her more pictures of the TS, honey, so she could put them all over the walls and replace these old pictures. But, she said my mom had 3 sons, and so she's got pictures of her 3 sons all throughout her home. And she explains part of the reason why she left, because they said, well, when did you leave home? Like, when did you? She said, as soon as I graduated from high school, I got out. She said there was a time where one of my brothers found my lipstick, and picked up my lipstick and put it on, and my mother beat him for it. And of course, Miss Mary don't remember that. Now, for those of you who follow TS, that's not the first time that TS remembers some things that Miss Mary don't remember. And I don't think it's so much that Miss Mary they just don't remember things the same way. Moving on. She said that, she started off as a drag queen because she was still trying to figure it all out, and then it evolved into who she is today, the TS. And she said, she said, listen, I had to do that on my own. I had to figure it out on my own, because if you wasn't gonna get on this ride with me, then you just was gonna be left behind. But this was who I was. And Oliver said, it was the same thing for him. He said, I always knew I was different. I always knew I was attracted to men. I always knew I had this like feminine side of me. And when I accepted who I was, either you was gonna accept me and ride this ride, or you was gonna be on the sidelines and it was gonna be what it was gonna be. And so it was a great conversation that they had. It was a great conversation. And so the next day we got to see Maddie's brothers and their significant others and the babies, because her brother had a son and they hadn't seen him yet. And so Miss Mary got to see her grandchild for the first time, and Maddie got to see her new nephew, and that was a moment. And her brothers still, she said, I love my brothers and my brothers love me. She said, but they still say you're gonna always be my brother. Like, again, I don't think they realize it is that they're being disrespectful. They were laughing and joking with Maddie about different things, and you could tell that they have a good banter. But at the end of the day, they still see T.S. Madison as their brother. And again, you just see the internal family struggle, that even though the love is there and they accept, it's acceptance on their terms. Like, I know that this is who you are, but you still my brother. Like, this is who I see. And, again, I think Maddie has just accepted that. But again, it's a sad state for a lot of trans people and their families, trans men and trans women and their families, Maddie took the crew out to see where she used to work the stroll. And Oliver asked the question, why did you decide, or how did you decide, or how did you end up here? And, she said, because there's a lot of discrimination in the workplace for trans people, trans men and trans women. There's a lot of discrimination within the workplace. And so, you got to make a living. You don't want to be homeless. You don't want to be on the street. And so you got to get work wherever and however you can get it. And, so she showed them the neighborhood where she used to be on the stroll, and you told them some stories. And she said, and this is why I hustle the way I hustle. This is why I work the way I work. This is why I demand what I demand. And Oliver even said, I understand a little bit better why Maddie doesn't trust easily, and why she is the way she is. And, I'm going to have to give her a little more grace the next time we sort of get into some things and understand why she has these walls built up around her and why she feels the way she feels about things. And, she told Craig, she said, Craig, you got that good degree from Hampton. She said, Howard, honey. He corrected her real quick. Hampton, okay? She said, but they ain't teach you nothing. She said, what I know about money and how to spend money and how to hold on to money and how to make money, you can't learn that in no college. She said, I got this education down here. I was a hustler. And so if you know about T.S. Madison, you know that part of T.S. Madison's story. But again, to see it and to hear it and, to go through it with her, it ain't nothing like a visual aid. It ain't nothing like a field trip, right? To see it and really understand it from that aspect. Now, at the end of the episode, we saw Maddie meet up with her dad. And what I found very interesting was, the first thing she said was, let's start from the beginning. I've never called you Dad. I've never called you Father. I've never called you Papa. What would you like me to call you? And he said, well, you can call me Pops. Pops is cool. She said, okay. I'm going to call you Pops. And I'm T.S. Madison. Nice to meet you. Well, no, I think she said Madison. Nice to meet you. So I'll call you Pops and you call me Madison. And he was like, all right, Tim. And they had this whole conversation about her needing him to respect who she was. And he said, listen, this is hard for me. It just seemed like overnight you just transformed. She said, but it didn't happen overnight. And I think that part of that goes back to the fact that he was not actively in her life. So it wasn't an overnight transformation. Maybe it seemed like it to him, but it was not an overnight situation. And so that's part of the problem in that is that he's seeing it from that limited lens of this happened overnight. And she's like, but it didn't. It did not happen overnight. It happened over time. And, you know, he's telling her, like, it's just hard. He said, you know, she said, you don't think this is hard for me? You don't think this is hard for me to be who I am? And so he said, I don't know. How did you know? She said, well, how did you know you were heterosexual? He said, I was born that way. She said, well, so was I. I mean, you know, and then he started getting into saying that this was just demonic. And she was like, so you trying to say I'm demonic? I'm possessed? Is that what you're saying? Child, then the episode went off. So I'm hoping that we're going to get the second half of this conversation. But baby, it ain't looking good. I mean, it is no disrespect to Maddie and her dad, but baby, it ain't looking good, Maddie. I don't know if you're going to be able to teach this old dog a new trick. And I'm not saying that you have to accept it either. That ain't what I'm saying. But you're going to have to make a decision. Anyway, that's it. That's all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.